The Mexican-American War was a significant armed conflict. It took place between the United States and Mexico. The fighting lasted from April 1846 to February 1848. This war fundamentally reshaped the map of North America. It was a pivotal event in the history of both nations. The consequences of this brief but impactful war are still felt today, and to understand them, we must revisit its causes and outcomes. Driven by ambition and the spirit of manifest destiny, Americans believed expansion would carry liberty and prosperity westward. And with the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, the United States legally gained the Southwest for $15 million, cementing a continental nation. One of the primary causes of the Mexican-American War was the status of Texas. Texas had been a province of Mexico. American settlers, invited by the Mexican government, moved there in large numbers in the 1820s. Tensions grew between settlers and the government over issues like slavery, local autonomy. In 1836, the settlers declared independence from Mexico. They fought and won a brief war. For nearly a decade, Texas existed as the Republic of Texas. Mexico never recognized its independence, viewing it as a rebellious province. The situation intensified when the United States annexed Texas in 1845. Mexico had warned annexation would mean war, then broke off relations. A significant border dispute remained. Rio Grande, said the U.S. Nueces, said Mexico. Between lay disputed land, and behind U.S. resolve stood manifest destiny, a righteous, inevitable mission to extend liberty, order, and opportunity west. Before resorting to war, President Polk made an attempt at diplomacy. In late 1845, he sent John Slidell to Mexico City. Slidell was to purchase territory for up to $30 million, New Mexico, California, and settle the Texas border at the Rio Grande. Mexico was politically volatile. Herrera's government faced intense pressure not to negotiate. The Slidell mission failed. He wasn't officially received. A coup brought General Paredes to power, firmly opposing American offers. Polk moved toward a military solution, ordering General Zachary Taylor into the disputed zone. He fortified the north bank opposite Matamoros. Mexico called it invasion. A Mexican cavalry force crossed the river and ambushed an American patrol. Americans were killed and captured. Polk now had cause to request war. The first major battles came near the Rio Grande. Taylor, a veteran commander, led a well-drilled army. Superior light artillery gave Americans the edge in open battle. On May 8th, at Palo Alto, U.S. guns repelled attacks and inflicted heavy losses. Next day at Resaca de la Palma, close-quarters combat raged in thick scrub as U.S. troops broke the line. The Mexican army retreated across the river. Taylor crossed into northern Mexico, advancing on fortified Monterrey. After a brutal three-day urban battle, the city fell to U.S. forces. Taylor granted an armistice. Polk frowned on the leniency. With Taylor's veterans reassigned, Santa Anna struck at Buena Vista in February 1847. Heavily outnumbered, Taylor's troops held and forced a retreat, securing the north. While Taylor secured the north, Polk planned a decisive thrust at Mexico City. Command fell to General Winfield Scott, a meticulous strategist. In the largest U.S. amphibious operation to date, over 10,000 landed without loss. A relentless bombardment compelled the fortress city to surrender on March 29th. The Gulf port became the springboard inland. Scott advanced 260 miles, following Cortez's old road. Santa Anna rallied defenses to block the American march. At Cerro Gordo, he held a strong pass. Scott's engineers executed a brilliant flank and shattered the position. Then Contreras and Churubusco fell in succession. On September 13th, Chapultepec was stormed. The Niños Héroes fought to the death, a symbol of Mexican patriotism. While main armies fought in Mexico, smaller American forces moved in the west. A key war aim was the acquisition of California and New Mexico. Captain John C. Fremont's expedition emboldened settlers uneasy under Mexican rule. In June 1846, The Bear Flag Revolt declared a short-lived republic. Commodore John D. Sloat arrived and declared California a U.S. possession. Sailors and Marines raised the stars and stripes across the coast. Resistance flared in Southern California, briefly ousting the garrison at Los Angeles. General Stephen W. Kearny linked with Commodore Robert F. Stockton to defeat the revolt by early 1847. In summer 1846, Kearny led about 1,700 soldiers to Santa Fe. The capital fell without a shot. Governor Armijo fled. U.S. rule was proclaimed. A brief Taos revolt was quickly suppressed. With the capital occupied and armies defeated, Mexico had to negotiate. President Polk sent Nicholas Trist to conclude peace on prior U.S. terms. Talks dragged. Polk recalled him in frustration. Believing a breakthrough near, Trist stayed and finished negotiations. The treaty was signed at Guadalupe, Hidalgo, ending the war. Its terms were transformative. Mexico ceded vast lands, California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, large parts of New Mexico and Colorado, and a portion of Wyoming. Mexico renounced claims to Texas and recognized the Rio Grande border. In return, the U.S. paid $15 million and assumed over $3 million in claims. The treaty promised U.S. citizenship, property rights, and religious freedoms to Mexican residents, pledges unevenly kept thereafter. For the United States, victory fulfilled manifest destiny. The Mexican cession added 1.2 million square miles rich in resources. Gold at Sutter's Mills sparked the gold rush, driving migration and development. New settlements transformed the West. Yet expansion reignited the slavery question, Wilmot Proviso, Southern rights, and the Compromise of 1850. The rift widened, paving the way to civil war in 1861. For Mexico, the war was a national disaster with lasting scars. In the ceded lands, new U.S. citizens faced discrimination and legal battles over property. The Mexican-American War was short, but immensely consequential. Texas unresolved, a contested border, and manifest destiny under President Polk drove events. Superior leadership and artillery delivered victories north, in the capital and across the West. The Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, redrew the map, lawful transfer for $15 million. Expansion brought American prosperity, from the gold rush to new markets, while Mexico bore profound loss. Critics protested, yet might met will, and the United States secured its rightful continental place.